Hello, everybody. Welcome to Sapphire Souls here on A1R Radio. And I am Amber Price, your host. Happy Boxing Day to some of you who are celebrating today. And I just think this is going to be so exciting because this is the last show of 2019 for me. And others that are filming today as well. So I would love to talk to you being spiritually guided about what I'd like to speak to you about today. And a lot of it has resulted in what did I do in 2019 and what the heck am I going to be doing in 2020? Because as with almost every other year, if you think about historically, New Year's resolutions and people trying to set these resolutions and what they want to do at the start of the new calendar year. So recently, I've been wondering, what does that mean? What does a New Year's resolution mean? And I guess it means something different to everybody. Spiritually speaking, I always ask my spirit guides to help me and guide me as to what I need to do. So I've made a few. They're not resolutions in my mind. What they are goals. So I've said it as if I set a goal for myself, I'm more likely to achieve the goal than if I think it's a New Year's resolution. And sometimes how we depict what something means to us, our perception of what something means, a lot of people associate resolutions with failure, unfortunately. And so when we set out to do a New Year's resolution and we already think that it's going to be a failure, or, most people automatically let go of those resolutions in the first month or so, even couple weeks or couple days, that kind of does set us up for failure. So it really is about perception. So think about what it is that it means to you. Use a different term if you have to, like I have with goals. And so I'm just going to share with you, I've personally, I'm going to cut back on the use of foul language. That's my personal goal. And also, I would like to eat more high vibration foods. So raising my vibration through the use of fruits and vegetables. And I've cut back on the amount of meat that I do consume. It's very difficult for me as an empath to eat meat. And so it would have to be high vibration meat, and if not, actually almost giving it up altogether. So, and then of course, releasing energy that we accumulate is important because you have to release it. So through exercise, I'm not really good with a lot of exercise because being a spiritual person, I highly have autoimmune disorders. And so that kind of affects how I can do some cardio, but you work around it. So I do walking, cycling, anything to strengthen the legs and get myself moving. So those are my 3 goals for 2020. Hopefully you guys can keep me on that, and you correct me if you hear me speaking something or eating something that is not really on my goals. And so basically, I also got a sign all week. I always ask, what is it that we should talk about and discuss on Sapphire Souls? And what are the people that would be tuning in today need to hear? So it's kind of tailored to who the universe knows is going to be tuning in that day. And this book has fallen off of my table every single day, sometimes twice a day this week. And I know I have this book for a reason, but what's just absolutely fascinating to me is that a client came and was quoting something from this book. And I thought, that seems familiar to me. And then it fell off the shelf that day. And I said to my client, obviously I'm supposed to reread this book. I said, but to be honest, I don't remember placing it on my table. So my first question was, did somebody put that there for me to find? Was it something that, somebody had moved around and now it's just in a different circulation? So this is Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose. And so as you can see, the book is from Oprah's book club, and it is the #1 New York Times best-selling author of The Power of Now. So if any of you have read either of those books or did participate in Oprah's book club, then you would know what this book has to say to you. So it could be a calling that you have to reread it. It's useful for you coming up into 2020. Or it's a calling that you should be picking this up as your new reading material for the year. And of course, as with anything, you don't want to put too much pressure on yourself to achieve these goals or to absorb so much information all of the time. So use it at the pace that you're able to do it so that you enjoy it and so that you absorb it more, because nobody wants to be pressured into doing something and have it feel like it's, hard, and, you lose interest in it that way. And so obviously anything that's worth success and worth fulfillment has hard work, and you have to dedicate yourself to it. But when you're actually starting to fulfill your life's purpose and look and see what that means, this seemed to be the theme of the last couple of weeks with my clients. And it didn't matter if I had a client in New Zealand or here in Ontario or, somewhere in another part of the world. All of my spiritual messages were being guided the same way. And it was all about, what is my life's purpose? And so I'm sure all of us can attest that at one point or another, we have tried to figure out what that means. And to spiritual beings, such as myself and such as even you that is listening, especially empaths, because they do have such a wavering personality, and their soul kind of gravitates to whatever's kind of going and whatever feels good to them at that moment. So being able to commit to something is challenging for an empath. But spiritual souls like indigos and starseeds and souls such as those really do have multiple purposes sometimes. So I got this question a lot. Does my life only have one purpose? And how do I know what that is? And can I have more than one purpose? And what is my life supposed to look like? Like, automatically, when somebody's looking for their life's purpose, what they're kind of saying is, how can I give to the community or to the world in a profound way to make the most impact and to feel fulfilled? That's really what we're asking ourselves. And sometimes a life's purpose is to focus on something greater to themselves, so bigger than what's around them, such as people who collaborate to find cures for diseases, or explore new territories and things such as that. And a lot of us are supposed to help people one-on-one or make an impact in a smaller scale to what's around us. So please don't lose sight that you can be fulfilled and you can be serving your life's purpose without looking for that grand item or that grand job that's going to take you, to the biggest, to the best place. Because sometimes one person at a time or one community at a time is exactly what you need. And we depend on each and every person to fulfill parts of those things. And essentially, it creates that ripple effect and a greater effect as well. So how do you know what your life's purpose is? I don't want to spend too much time on this, because really you have to look within. You have to be able to know what it is that you find fulfilling. If you can go back in time and think of what you enjoyed to do as a child, maybe between 6 years old and 15 years old even, what was it that you absolutely loved to spend your time on that you didn't feel like, time was dragging? Like, time should feel like it's speeding up. You know, that old saying, if you're having fun, time flies by. Well, that's true. So if you're doing something that you absolutely love to do, you're not going to know that, 5 hours just flew by in a blink. You're not going to care how much work it took. Let's talk about people who like to physically challenge themselves. And so we see people that are so adventurous, and they want to climb these mountains or, ski from the top of a mountain down. any of these things might be challenging to one person and feel like work or feel fearful, or just they might not even want to approach that topic at all. But there are people that are fulfilled by this type of thing. And that is what we're looking for. What is it to you? And that's all that matters. I often tell my clients that you can create a job for yourself doing anything. So don't stick into a box that has got, teacher, lawyer, doctor, veterinarian. You can create a role for yourself if it is in fact your true life's purpose. Because if you think about it, everybody and every career at one point in time was new to someone. So these roles were created. And also, roles have been recreated. So you have career names that are titles that have been titled one thing, and over time they've been changed. Let's use it's a secretary, administrative assistant, administrative executive. There's different types of titles to these jobs. And so you want to think about that, because if things stayed the same and we were in this perfect little box and fit into it, we would never be able to make progress. So how do I know that my life's purpose is going to bring me success? Because ultimately, at the end of every day, that's what everyone is looking for, how to become successful. So I'm going to challenge you to decide for yourself what makes you successful. Is it financial abundance? Is it family? Is it children? Is it your job title? What is it that you actually find fulfillment in? Because I guarantee not everybody will have the same answer. For some, it might be conceiving a child. That might be what all their whole hopes and dreams are about. Some people might just want to be able to have the opportunity to get post-secondary education, such as college or university. Other people might want to go from, let's say, a bachelor's education to a master's education. And some people might just specifically want to wander around and explore things and really just research and use that ability and that time to help us down the road to be more knowledgeable and full of wisdom on certain topics that other people might not have invested their time and energy into, because it's patience. So as you can see, it could change for everybody. And that's what the important thing is. As well, the newer generations that are coming up are going to find that they're not going to want to stay in a career field or a job role for more than 5 years at a time. So anywhere between 3 to 7 years, you're going to find that somebody's going to get that itch to learn something new or to go above and beyond. And that's because spiritually, you've been fulfilled. You've done what you're supposed to be doing, and it's time to move on. And you know what the new year brings us is, am I going to repeat 2019 all over again and just do 2020 the same way? So that's why our life's purpose is kind of coming up from spirit today, because a lot of us are starting to reflect on, what does 2020 bring for us? How do we engage? Who can we connect with to help us achieve those goals? Because regardless of how much autonomy that you would like and how much control you think you have over achieving those goals, there is always helping hands along the way. So learn from those people, create mentors, get coaching, help other people, be someone else's mentor, because that too, teaching also includes learning as well, each and every time. So what else? You have to really reflect on quiet. So what this holiday time of year brings for those of us that are celebrating the Christmas and the New Year is a time of connections. And so, interestingly enough, I had a spiritual message this week about human connections. So our physical life here, trying to connect to other humans. And this is being portrayed as almost as important as connections to, let's say, spiritual connections to our loved ones on the other side. So you need to connect to humans just as much, if not more, than you do to connect to other things, such as animals or plants or, hobbies and things like that. So connections are a huge factor in your spiritual, emotional, and physical well-being. So what this time of year does, and if you're from another part of the world, or you're in a different culture and you're celebrating at different times, you also can resonate with this, because what that time allows us to do is to slow and pause for a moment and be able to make those connections without feeling like you have to go, 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 and you've always got something coming up behind you, pushing you to make you hurry along. So for even one day, you're able to actually sit and reflect and have those human connections without the expectation that you are being pushed or hurried along. And that is the perfect time to reflect on your goals, what your soul's purpose is. Where are you in achieving those goals? Because it's all great to know what your soul's purpose is, but unless you're actually acting on a plan, you're not actually getting anywhere with it. So definitely, once you understand what it is that you enjoy and you love, you want to head right out there and start an action plan. So you do not want to sit in it. When you feel that urge and you're that excitement about what it is that you want to do next, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's about your soul's purpose or, throwing a surprise party for a loved one, whatever the excitement is at that moment, that's when you need action. So you have to change your motion and change how you are acting in that motion so that you can get things happening as soon as possible. So if you're looking at what do I do to remove the blocks that create us from staying in our comfy space? Because let's face it, we have a comfort zone, all of us. We are happy to be able to stay at home or stay in a miserable job or stay in friendships or things like that that aren't really satisfying us or fulfilling us or even respecting us, because it's harder to create an action to change the motion of the relationship or the job or etc. So basically, you have to get past the idea that there's going to be a discomfort zone. And once that piece is over, then you're going to be able to be happier, more fulfilled. And that's when we say those things to ourselves like, holy, I can't believe that I waited so long. I can't believe that this, why didn't I do this before? So I always wonder how come it has been portrayed through generational beliefs and the society's way of showing things that everything has to be happy all the time. Everything has to be comfortable, and nobody's allowed to make anybody upset or feel emotions that aren't positive emotions. And so what that's kind of training our ego to do is to say, whoa, that didn't make me feel comfortable. That made me feel unsafe or uneasy, because now you're making me feel things that I'm not really sure about. And it stops, which means the danger is that we're going to slow progress and forward motion. So what we need to do is we need to encourage each other to really feel those feelings and feel what it is, because I promise you, if you go with your gut feeling or you listen to how something makes you feel, you're never going to go wrong. You have to follow that emotion connected to it. And that emotion I'm talking about is your spiritual guidance, that how you feel about something. And so encourage each other to do that. And also, if you're a parent or grandparent or somebody that's raising a child or has influence over children, of course, each and every situation will be different. However, you always want to make sure they understand that there will be difficult situations and there will be things that make us feel a little bit uneasy when we have to talk about emotions that might not make someone comfortable, especially when it comes to their wants and their needs, because sometimes children feel like they're not allowed to ask for certain things or they're not entitled to feel certain ways. And so that's important to kind of encourage them to speak out about as well. And again, not everybody is going to always get what they want because they asked for it. However, that's where that action comes in. And so that's where you have to actually start and take the steps to be able to move forward. So what I'm going to challenge you to do is to really reflect on what it is that you feel is your soul's purpose. Are you living your current soul's purpose? Do you feel like you have to change something and something is coming up for you that's bigger, that's better? You're going to really understand this in the next 1 to 2 months, because after the new year, what happens is anything that didn't shake off of us and rattle up in 2019 is energetically going to shake up and be rattled out at the beginning of 2020. So what this means is anybody that hasn't already felt that shift, or, relationships coming in or going out, or jobs changing, or, even being fired from a job is a blessing, because you haven't maybe been listening to the signs and symbols that you're supposed to make a change. And now the universe has said, okay, we've given you enough outs. Now you have to make something for yourself. So how you respond to that change in your life is definitely going to decide if you're going to be happier, if you're going to be more fulfilled. And so it's time to reflect on that yourself. The other thing is the use of spirit animals, because they just came in. I just watched them kind of walk across me. When spirit animals come in, what this gives you is the ability to get validation from your guides, your spirit guides that are animals, to really reflect and validate what it is you're doing right now. And is it good? Are you on the right path? And how do you know? So if you're constantly seeing owls, or you're constantly seeing hawks or snakes or what have you, those are most likely the spirit guides, animals that you're supposed to be connecting to let you know that you're on the right path. Now, a snake is actually just kind of crossed, which means to me transformation. So that's all about validation of everything that we were just talking about. And I have to tell you something. Every one of us is intuitive, and every one of us has the ability to listen to our inner mind and our inner voice that says, okay, I feel real good about this, or no, I don't. I don't think I should be going this way or doing this. And just, even what happened to us today, our TVs and our phones are even intuitive now, right? You start speaking and it's predictive text and all of those things. So as a joke, I had said to my husband, who he was talking about something about a recipe, and he was really wanting to try it. And the next thing, within 5 minutes, his phone popped up and said, do you have leftovers? Why don't you try this recipe? And it happened to be the same recipe that we were discussing. And so, it's funny to see the look on his face, but after a fact, you think to yourself, okay, is that a spiritual message that this is something that's coming? Is it something that's technologically being picked up and then given to us? But I just wanted to share that with you, because I thought that was pretty cool that it could be given as a sign, or it could just be an intuitive automated suggestion, right? Either way, what you have to do is start to pay more attention to whatever it is. And that includes the animals, any signs and symbols that you get. I often tell my clients, if I say, watch for a pig, it doesn't mean that you're going to own a pig. But what it could mean is, you get the newspaper and you pick it up, and on the front page, there's an article about pigs, or someone sends you a birthday card and there's a pig or a reference to a pig on it. So just being more mindful of your signs and symbols, and working with your guides and your angels to be able to manifest these things, because you truly do have the intuitive ability to be able to manifest what you need. You just have to believe you have it, trust in the process, because you're not going to miss anything that is meant for your soul. It's all about timing, though, however. So you might have delayed the timing for a period, but it doesn't mean that you're going to miss it altogether. So always, watch for those doors opening, or the windows opening and giving you that crack to kind of crawl through, and really just asking the universe for what it is that you want, because no one is going to hand it to you. You have to be able to know what you want and then put it out into the universe and ask for it. And that's basically how the manifesting is going to help you along as well, to achieve your life's purpose, or to get the goals to manifest that you like. Now, 2020 as well is going to bring a lot of financial awareness. And so globally, finances are kind of going to be a topic of discussion a little bit more than it has been over the last few years. And so what it will allow us to do is to be more mindful of our finances, to be able to save what we want, but also invest into some things, because you do not want to miss the opportunity to invest money, to have things working for you. And investing is up to you. You do need to see a professional financial advisor, and that is something that you guys would have to work on together. However, finances are a big deal for 2020, especially up into around June. And health, what it is about health for 2020 will be listen to your body. So all of those things I was saying about the gut feeling and all of that stuff, you have to understand that your body will be, diseased if it's not at ease. So if you're not living your life's purpose, or you're in a situation that's volatile, or it's trying on you emotionally and physically and mentally, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to start to feel unwell. And what will happen continually is that if you continue to have those emotions or physical challenges, it will actually turn into an injury or an illness. And so that's when you need to get a medical professional involved and to see how we can get you back on track for that. So how to prevent that? Absolutely listen to your body. If something doesn't feel right, then change something spiritually to get onto the right path, so that you're not creating that energy to stick inside of you, and then you can release it. Now, relationships are also going to kind of get shooken up in 2020. So between January and March, a lot of people that have had somewhat of an easy time in 2019 are going to start to notice that there's some things and bumps and hurdles that they're going to have to communicate with. Now, this is the key. So when you're in this moment, don't forget it's communication. Now, communication is not just about speaking outward to the person. Communication is also about listening and absorbing. So it's two-way. And in order to avoid that, because you all want to save your relationships and you all want to savor that love and support and guidance that each of you give each other. So remember this, between January and March, communicate, listen, receive the information, and then communicate your goals and needs as well. And then enjoy, because anything else that's left is going to just completely fall away that you don't need. And then it's going to allow you to be able to explore all of the things that are coming up. And I can tell you 2020 is going to be amazing. Weather related, it's probably going to bring some kind of crazy storms and things like that throughout the world, but nothing we haven't really seen before. But enjoy, reflect, grab this book. Grab this book and read it, and send me an email if you enjoyed the book. And if you have any questions, check my website, amber-price.com. Thank you so much.